The magic of the Scottish Cup can often throw up a wee shock or two, and maybe we'll get into that just a wee bit later, but no such surprise at Celtic Park last night as Celtic took care of Raith Rovers in a comprehensive 5-0 win. This is Tino with the final show, joined here by Brydo. Brydo, your initial thoughts on Celtic's fifth round performance?
Just excellent, mate, wasn't it? Just excellent. We're just kind of carrying on from the games before, and you know, if you get a tie at home, I think we just fully expect that a team the quality of Celtic will kind of brush most teams aside, and that's exactly what happened. You sometimes get sticky away ties as the tournament continues, but at home against a team in the lower division, I think it was exactly what we expected it to be.
Yeah, Brydo, in February alone, Celtic have played 3 games. We've now scored 14 goals. What do you put that down to? Where's that form come from?
I think it's the freshness of the team a lot, mate. I think the manager's used his squad really, really well. It's allowed us to be almost at full strength for the majority of games. Other teams haven't had that, let's call it luxury or luck, or maybe they've not made their own luck. But I think just having that freshness all the time, it's a real, it's a real killer for the other teams when they're looking at a fresh, I don't know, like Daizen Maeda or a fresh Kuhn, or Jota's just kind of coming back and he's got minutes and no matter who it is really, it's just there must be a real fear factor around that, and I just think that they're really sharp. We've gone through spells and seasons, of course that's what happens, and it's a bit kind of wee 1-0 wins and scraping by, and we can all be critical of performances or not scoring enough goals, but they've been few and far between this season. I just think that that as I said, the freshness and I'd say competition for places, some positions more than others, but yeah, I think combined with it all, and also momentum. I think momentum is important, and I think that most of the players, I dare say, are in quite a good place.
Yeah, I'd say so. There was a whole host of changes, Brydo, for the game against Raith Rovers. We'll get into them in just a second. But despite the changes, no change in intensity and performance levels for Celtic, and that will be the most pleasing thing for Brendan Rodgers. Brendan Rodgers said around about this time last year, this is when this club comes to life. This time of year is when Celtic spring into life, and you start to make your steps towards trophy time, May and whatever that brings in terms of the league and the Scottish Cup. And he repeated it just a week or two ago. This is when Celtic come alive, and you've absolutely seen it, and it's shown in no better form than what Daizen Maeda has brought to the party. We're going to spend a good bit of time on Daizen Maeda just shortly, because what he's bringing right now is exceptional. I think he's found a new level within himself, and we'll maybe try and work it out if we can, why that's been. But it's been brilliant to watch. Of those 14 goals I mentioned in the last 3 games, Daizen Maeda scored 6 of them. He'll have set up a couple as well, but I don't know if that's that, but he scored 6 of the 14 goals, including yesterday's hat-trick. Brydo, we'll go to the lineup. A few surprises in it for different reasons. So the suggestion was that Kasper Schmeichel's got a very minor issue with his back. So Valjami Sinisalo makes his first start in a Celtic shirt. So that was interesting to see. A very untried and tested back 4, which is Tony Ralston, Dane Murray, good to see him back, Liam Scales, and new signing Jeffrey Schlupp, obviously on loan from Crystal Palace. A midfield 3 of Callum McGregor, flanked by Luke McCowan and Paulo Bernardo. And up top, the man Daizen Maeda through the middle. Yang, plenty on Yang later. Yang watch will be once again taking place. And Nicholas Kuhn, a guy who's also lit it up this season so far. What was your take ahead of the game when you heard the lineup?
I mean, we've made a mistake earlier on in the season in thinking that the manager doesn't make that many. And then in the Falkirk game, he made so many, it just didn't work. And I thought, like many, I think, that he wouldn't do that again. And as the season's progressed, he has done it. But I think that's the level of confidence that the manager's got in the players in his squad, not just the kind of 11, 12, 13 that he picks all the time. So, yeah, it's great to see young guys coming in like Murray. It was good to kind of get a look at the goalkeeper. That's a position where it doesn't change much, as we know. But seeing that many changes, I would then say, based on recent history and recent activity with the manager, that it was to be expected based on the game coming up through the week.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll touch on that towards the end of the piece, Brydo, because that's obviously a massive challenge for this squad and this team under Brendan Rodgers. Before we kick on, massive hello and thanks to everyone who continues to join us here on the live shows and to support what we do at the Celtic Exchange. Great to see some of the regular faces here. We've got Vincey, Mazar, Pat McLaughlin, Tam O'Donnell, Ian O'Sullivan over in Cork. Mo Fagan was a new member of the channel, and thanks to Mo for getting involved there. Remember, you do need to be a channel member to comment here on the live pre- and post-match shows we do. To do so, there's a link in the show notes. Easy to do and easy to get set up. Various comments and questions coming in, Brydo, and we'll catch some of them as we go through. So I'd encourage anyone with any thoughts or comments in the game, pop them in there, and myself and Brydo will try our very best to catch them. Obviously, Maeda at the moment, Brydo, and certainly last night, as an option for Celtic through the middle. That's caused a lot of debate back and forward, in terms of who we signed or didn't sign, more specifically in the January window. And from Brendan Rodgers and Celtic's point of view, and I appreciate that it's Dundee and Raith Rovers, there's a different challenge ahead of us next week, but a lot of flack coming Celtic's way, and then they've battered in 11 goals since the window closed, and it's the only way to answer it, and they've answered it emphatically.
Yeah, I mean, we're all allowed opinions, and I know that even just activity on Twitter and stuff, and I've seen the show with Asim earlier on in the week, and there's a lot of activity around that and comments and opinions, and that's what, to be fair, that's what it's all about. I had a fairly knee-jerk opinion myself on Monday night when I was talking to you, and I don't think I'm allowed to say it exactly what I thought, but I wasn't. I was a bit perplexed about what the manager had said and what was then transpiring. So even if we could do with or without a new striker, it just didn't feel right because we didn't get one when the manager's clearly said that's what he wanted. So I think the knee-jerk flack, if you like, it's perfectly normal. In the cold light of day, you kind of go, right, okay, we've got one game against Bayern Munich. It's not a write-off by any stretch. We've got to compete. And then domestically, can the players that we've already got carry us out for the kind of 2 remaining trophies? And I think most people would say, yes, we could get away with winning both trophies without a new striker. So there's arguments to be had on both sides. But I think, when you see what Maeda does when he's playing through the middle, you put him anywhere, really. I mean, if you put it right back, I think he'd be the best right back in the league as well, probably. I mean, it's just the guy, he does go from sublime to ridiculous at times, but recently it's just pretty much just been sublime. Yeah,
less and less ridiculous, and it's great to see. Right, obviously, various changes yesterday, but do you have a concern that the squad now, the window's closed, we can't make any additions? Is this Celtic side strong enough to get by Queen's Park and lift the Scottish Cup once again?
Well, I flicked over and seen about 15 minutes of that game. And, they were playing a really, really strong opposition today, Queen's Park. Really, really strong. Somebody made a good point. It was the oldest club in Scottish football history versus the newest one, which I found quite interesting.
Couldn't possibly comment on that.
I didn't really rise to it either and make any opinion either way, but maybe valid. But, these things happen in football at times. Fair play at Queen's Park. Delighted for them.
Yeah, it was great to see. Let's get back to the Celtic stuff. So it's that man Maeda, and he opens the scoring in 6 minutes. Brydo, would you argue he's in the form of his Celtic life? He's now, after his hat-trick yesterday, he's now got, 50 goals for Celtic, 21 of them this season alone. And everyone's raving, and rightfully raving, about Nicholas Kuhn and what he's brought to the party. And bit by bit, Daizen's just been, as he does, just gets his head down and gets on with his work. And he's just been chipping away at it. And now he finds himself, I think, with 4 goals more. I think Kuhn's got 17 now, and Daizen Maeda's got 21. He's finding new levels in a Celtic shirt, and he's finished for the first, which is perfectly cool. It breaks him on the edge of the box. A lot of things can happen. Guys can lash at these kind of things, and he just coolly places it inside the post, and we're 1-0 and we're good to go.
Yeah, I think, if we're talking about player developments, and if Maeda was one we would look at, there was a stage in his career at Celtic, I thought, see if we can get a more composed, kind of more consistent player in that position. I think Celtic, and then Maeda would be like a sub that could come on. I thought that's where we would have been with him. I did at one stage think that would be progress for Celtic, keeping him there, but not necessarily being a starter. So he has improved. There's no doubt he's improved. And that finish you're talking about is exactly the kind of thing that he has improved upon. I think in other games he could hit that off his left foot onto his right foot and bobble it for a goal kick or something. You know, like you say, just a bit rash. I think he is becoming a bit more composed for more parts of the game and big moments of the game. And, you know, he finds himself between the posts. And any time he's played as his main striker for us, I'm pretty sure he scored, I think, nearly every game he has done. There have not been that many of them in some of pre-season friendlies and stuff. But he does it for his country and he's done it for us a few times. So, yes, he's an option there. I think it's either strip still, because Maeda offers what he offers elsewhere. But if it was a shootout between Maeda being on the bench or Maeda being the number 9 and not having the option out wide, then Maeda would start as the number 9 because he doesn't deserve to be on the bench at all. So it's just we're a luxurious position where he can play out wide and score goals from there too.
Yeah, he's incredible. And I think, you know, I've debated, my general take on it was, yes, he can play centre forward, but is that his best position? And a lot of the pushback on it, and it's looking pretty valid at this moment in time, is that that's what he was before he came to Celtic. That's where he played under Ange for Yokohama Marinos and also for the Japanese national side. And it's been good enough to keep Kyogo away from the centre forward position for the national team. So, what do I know? But he's certainly proved a few doubters, myself included, wrong at this moment in time. You know, a couple of games is a couple of games, but he's just shown no signs of letting up, and it's great to see. You might have caught the fact that his two kids were mascots ahead of the game as well, and it was just brilliant. Just a couple of cute wee ones, and they were just buzzing to be with their dad on the park under the big lights and stuff like that. And that'll have been a special moment for the family as well. It's that man again, though, Brydo, that gets the second goal. It's just on half time, and it's Yang, and Yang's taking a lot of stick, and I've tried my very best to stick up for him, and we'll cover it more when we get to his goal, which was a really good finish. But he's played a big part in the goal. He's shown lots of pace, and there's no doubting that's one genuine asset that Yang has got. It's been a good break by Celtic. And if you're going to be on the break, you want guys like Yang, like Kuhn, like Maeda, like Jota. Jota's no slouch either, to be the guys that are taking you forward. And ultimately, it's been a fairly straightforward move. In the end up, Yang finds himself wide, puts it across, and Maeda just smashes it high into the net. And I don't know if this tie was ever in doubt or ever going to be in doubt, but at that moment in time, you're getting into the break, good to go.
Yeah, and I think it actually comes from the pace of Maeda pressing the midfielder or centre half from their attack. That actually allows us to win the box. Kuhn gets it and feeds it to Yang, and then Maeda's his pace is just unreal. I mean, he's then up there as the furthermost player to get on the end of Yang's pass. You're absolutely right. Yang done fantastically for the goal. I think if Yang simplifies his game, he would be far more productive and his numbers would be far better. I just think that there's a hesitancy around him all the time, and there's an unsurability. In fact, even though that's unsurability is even a word, but it is now. But it's like it's not. Nobody's quite sure. And I think if you're a striker who's meant to be getting on the end so that he gets assists, I don't think they're sure what he's doing either. Whereas if I think he's got that pace and he does have a 5-10 yard burst, get out your feet and just keep getting across the face of goal. I mean, but he waits and he waits and he waits and he waits. And it's just almost like he's enticing the defender to do something. So he took that touch and he played the pass perfectly weighted at the perfect pace at the perfect time. And like you said, the main man in the moment at this minute in time does nothing else but tuck it away, and we avoid banana skin results like we've seen some people get today.
Yeah, definitely do. And then it's just a couple of minutes into the second half, and it's Yang again with the assist. And as you say, Brydo, straightforward stuff. You know, keeps it simple, and he gets it across to Luke McCowan. Luke McCowan's a guy. You know, he's been very tidy in terms of his Celtic appearances so far. But if guys like Luke McCowan and Yang and some other players who find themselves in the fringes want to play a more notable part, it's not good enough just to come on and do fairly well. You need to do what counts. And what really counts for these kind of players are assists and goals. You've got to add those numbers. You see the numbers that Maeda's chalking up just now. I think it's 21 goals and 8 assists. Kuhn is 17 goals and 12 assists. Jota's already started back on the goals and assists trail. And it's important for guys like Yang and Luke McCowan to do the same. And it was a nice tidy finish by McCowan. Yeah,
I mean, I don't think there's any disputing about the boys' his technical ability. Some maybe argue is the ability to get around the pitch for the full 90 minutes and kind of can keep that level up. I think he can, but you know, there's a reason why some of these people are starting ahead of him. Even when they've not played that great, they've managed to still find themselves edging ahead of him again. Even so, I think he's done very, very well in his career so far at Celtic. I think he'd be very, very pleased the amount of minutes that he's got. He'll always demand and want more. I know there's some of the people who think are real fans of him, particularly they'll think he deserves more time. I think the games like yesterday are exactly the type of games I'd expect to see him starting and playing well in. And I fully expect him, and this is a compliment to him as much as anything else. I expect him to do something in the game. You hold him in a high enough regard that you're expecting Luke McCowan to do something because he's done it. He's done it when he done it at Dundee. He was the captain of that team, and he's came into a, no disrespect to Dundee, but he's come into a far bigger, more demanding environment, and he's taken it on. And he's a Celtic fan, of course. He understands what the club means to everybody. But it's different if you're a player playing for that club, and he maybe has more pressure on himself as well because of that. But he comes across pretty relaxed, pretty chilled, and I think that shows in how he plays. He's very relaxed, and his touch is very assured. And the good thing is he's not coasting. He wants to get involved in the game. He wants to get the ball at his feet, and by doing that, he's got real confidence in his own ability. And I think that he's put himself in the frame for being maybe that, if everybody's fit, that first sub maybe at this minute in time. And I think he'd be okay with that based on the players that we've got at our disposal.
Yeah, I wonder if Luke McCowan's the kind of guy that would set himself some mini targets when he came into Celtic. He's been quite upfront about the fact that he works with a mindset coach, a guy who I've actually spoke to, really decent and interesting guy, and he's spoken about looking at his ambitions. And I think, the first milestone would be get my first start for Celtic, get my first goal for Celtic, get my first Champions League appearance, and so on and so forth. And I think something like being, if we're maybe generally recognising Celtic's preferred three in the midfield as Callum McGregor, Rio Hatate and Arne Engels, can he at this moment in time be the first alternative, as you say, and maybe chip in? You don't know what will happen with a Rio Hatate, injuries, guys move on, whatever it might be. And I wonder if Luke McCowan wants to make sure he's the first in the queue if there's any changes there. I should have mentioned, of course, that Paulo Bernardo, a guy himself who will be desperate to make an impact, and he got that start. He goes off injured during the first half. Hopefully nothing serious, and it's Rio Hatate that stepped in for him. Brydo, we'll get back to the goals later. There's still a couple of goals to cover, but what about the guys that got what you'd have to say is a very rare start? Sinisalo in goals. Not much to do, but a couple of moments. Tony Ralston, Schlupp, these guys, Dane Murray, absolutely. And I think, let me see the comment, quarterback Bunk has said, great to see Murray as well as Yang playing well at last. And who knows what the future is for a guy like Dane Murray, but they need to take these opportunities when they come along. And as much as they'll have tougher tests than Raith Rovers, they've done pretty well and they'll be pleased with their clean sheet.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few factors around those kind of players, especially like St Murray, for example. But that group of players, I've mentioned a few times, in any football club, is really, really difficult to keep them happy. Like it's really, and it's important that you keep them happy enough, because you don't want disruption and stuff. That's where the manager and he'll leave it a lot to the likes of McGregor and the experienced players to keep making sure that no matter what happens, you've got to be ready. And I think guys like Ralston are honest, and as the manager says, honest in their work, where he is ready and then he comes on. And listen, Ralston, we know he's got limitations and stuff, but he never really lets us down, if we're being honest. He doesn't, we know he gives everything he's got. And he has moments where he maybe underrated, and then there's moments where you kind of go, that's maybe why you're not playing all the time, Tony, and that's fine for our sub right back. The goalie, you're right, is his clean sheet. But the boy Murray, I'd like to kind of when he kind of got flung in initially, he was just a boy. But see when he came on against
Villa,
I know he made his mistake, but see if you're going to make a mistake, the game is just about done. If he learns from that and doesn't do another one, then that's not a bad time to do it. But even just how he looks, he physically looks big and strong and athletic. Prior to that, he was a big kind of skinny boy, and he was decent in the air or whatever. But he looks like he's ready to challenge and maybe say to the manager, "Listen, don't forget about me." And they've recalled him from on loan. Was on loan at Queen's Park. Yeah. So brought him back. So hopefully he's learned stuff from that. And I just think, it's been a while since we had a young player kind of coming through and doing the business like that. And maybe he is just somebody that's going to say, well, you know what, Carter Vickers injured a lot. Maybe I want to be the next guy who's in place to take his place if he's not available in any of the games, no matter the size or the importance of them. So to do that, he needs to have time on the pitch, and that's why it's important that guys like him do get the game time in a game like that. And it's also important that they can go away being really pleased with their performance and have a clean sheet. So you're right, as much as the game was won with the 5 goals, there's even more to be greedy about, and that is the clean sheet as well.
Yeah, and the clean sheet is what gives you the platform. The guys at the back plus the goalie, it's their work that allows the front guys to go and express themselves and put the kind of gloss on the result as such. For Dane Murray, though, maybe similar in ways to Luke McCowan, in that he wants to make sure that next time Carter Vickers maybe picks up a knock or whatever it might be, that he's further up the queue than he used to be. There's obviously the fact that Stephen Welsh went on loan to KV Mechelen in Belgium, and he's not an option right now. And you've also got the situation with Mike Nawrocki. He made a very, very rare appearance, last night, and it was almost a token gesture, to be honest with you. He very much looks like he'll need to find himself another club at some point very soon. So Murray's had to contend with all of that. He's also had to contend with a very serious injury. I think he was out for about a year. You talk about him making his debut on the Range. I was there that night. It was against Midtjylland. It was one of those half-empty, post-COVID kind of games where you could only sell so many tickets. And he was thrown in at centre-half, I think, alongside Nir Beaton, with Vasilis Barkas behind him. Talk about baptism of fire. He's only 21 years of age just now, Dane Murray. He's not 22 till June. So he's a kid at that point. He's 18 or whatever it was. And as I say, all these young guys, you could say it's not fair to throw them into these games, but that's what they want. You're desperate to play, and you know that chances are few and far between in a Celtic shirt. So whether it's there or in a tough game against Villa and they're rich of attacking players, and yeah, he made his mistake, but I think it could be one of the most important mistakes he makes, because he'll learn from that and he'll kick on. And I'd love to see him do well. I really would. And hopefully he'll get opportunities between now and the end of the season. Let's get back to the forward action and to what is probably goal of the season. I don't know, too early to call. But Tony Ralston gets the ball, and it's Tony Ralston's second assist in a week. He had a great assist at Fir Park, didn't he? But he whips across a really great ball into the back post. Yang has made a good run. He's coming in at pace. We've seen these ones, whether it's Yang or otherwise, end up in all sorts of places, Rose Ed and otherwise. But the key to it, and I'll catch one of the comments, I think it's from Pat McLaughlin. Yeah, the key to it is controlling it. Pat says, I was sitting perfectly right behind the angle that Ralston swung in that cross for Yang. It was a belter of a ball, and there was a lot of pace on it, but Yang controlled it superbly well. Loving the profile picture on Pat McLaughlin as well, but we don't have time to get to that at the moment. It's a great finish, Brydo. I'm a big fan of Yang, and you need to do it on a more consistent basis and at a higher level than Raith Rovers. But you can only do what you do. You can only play the team that's in front of you. And at that point, it's 2 assists and a goal for the night, and he can be pleased with his night's work.
Yeah, I think guys like Yang need to keep themselves relevant in the squad and in the team, because when the summertime comes and the manager's looking at what positions we need to strengthen, if he doesn't do or doesn't have performances like he had yesterday, and he just continues to be maybe his, what I would call his normal standard of performance, then the manager's like, well, he's not improving the squad and he needs to get shot of him and then bring somebody else. He'll be a sub-winger to back up Jota, Kuhn and Maeda. So he needs to do that. You're right about the consistency part. Do I think he can do it? I don't think he can. I'm being honest. I don't think he can. I hope he can. I don't think so. I see all the attributes there. And the fact that he's getting out the back post and whatever and trying, he was always hanging back. He wasn't doing what Abad had done, what Jota had done, what Kuhn's been doing. the desire to score a goal wasn't there. You know, that's why his numbers are so poor. The desire to score at the back post or back up an attack or whatever just weren't there. For whatever reason, he looked like he had the bit between his teeth yesterday. So all he can keep doing when he gets his minutes on the park, which with the arrival of Jota, maybe less, he needs to, and Forrest coming back, he needs to do that. And if he doesn't do it, he'll be at his arse in the summer and he'll be another kind of player that you think about, well, Mikey Johnson type. It could have been something. You seem to like those types, to be fair, mate. That's the underdog, the potential to do wonders. Underdog Celtic boys. That's your type, mate.
Why are you trying to ruin my Sunday? Why are you coming at me? Why are you coming at me with all the young chat? Give me all. I don't need your negativity. I've had a great weekend.
It was positive. I just think that's the bracket he could find himself in if he doesn't do what he done yesterday.
Yeah, and you know, I can't argue with any of the above. So, as anyone that tunes into us regularly will know, I'm a massive fan of Yang. Yeah, I suppose maybe part of it is rooting for the underdog, but I do see talent in him, and that finish and the couple of assists are testament to that talent. But he does have to do it, as I say, more consistently and a better level. My Twitter and the Celtic Exchange Twitter lit up last night after he got his goal, and you know, that's good fun and games and people sending me messages and stuff like that. There's a message actually on screen from Anthony Aiken, who must be one of my favourite subscribers, who says, "What about Yang then, Tino? You were always right." I knew I liked Anthony, a wise man, but there was, you know, a lot of chat about, he's found his level, i.e. Raith Rovers is his level, which to me is just a bit snidey, because you can't in one breath celebrate Daizen Maeda's brilliant hat-trick. Brilliant, great hat-trick. That was also against Raith Rovers, so you've just got to accept it for what it was. Great hat-trick by Maeda, great performance from Yang, but there's work to be done moving forward, and we'll see how that all goes. Brydo, just a quick shout-out just now to some of my favourite folks who are tuned into the show. Sinky's had a rough week, so great to see Sinky tuning in. Scotty McGrory, Chrissy Paul, Colin Wallace, and Kirsty McFarlane, great folks that I know well, so great to see them joining us here on the show. The last goal of the day, Brydo, it goes to that man Maeda though, and do you know, the writing was on the wall. You know, you were from an early stage, obviously he gets his 2 in the first half, and you're thinking this could be another special night for him, and so it proved to be the case. So talk us through his final goal of the night, his 21st goal of the season, and his 50th goal in a Celtic shirt.
Dear, I can't remember. I never seen it, and then I tried to watch it back, but I was about 7 pints in, so I can't even remember his last goal. So you'll need to tell me yourself. Okay,
I'll ask myself the question. It's basically it's become a bit of a trademark. Daizen Maeda goal. He's come flying in at the back post. Luke McCowan finds him, and he comes flying in, and it's one of those ones where people who might want to be negative and call it a tap-in, takes a lot of work to make it a tap-in. There's a lot of movement and a lot of effort to get to the back post to convert it. And just what a moment. So, Brydo, you've caught it from home. I've been there at the game, and the roar that went up when the PA announced that it was Daizen's 50th goal for Celtic. Daizen Maeda just scores goals and jogs back to the halfway line. Doesn't get too excited, doesn't get too involved. He jogs back, and as he's back at the halfway line, they announce it's his 50th goal in Celtic colours, and the whole place erupted. Do you know, Daizen Maeda's, I don't know, you could say that he split opinion in the early part of his Celtic career, and yes, of course, we've all been frustrated with him at different times, but the one guy that doesn't respond to criticism in any way, shape or form is the man himself. He just gets on with it. He must be a manager's dream. He must be a dream of a teammate. You know, he's such a hard worker and he does his job. There was a moment during the week, you know, in the 6-0 win against Dundee during the week, and he scored 2 goals on that night, and in the 92nd minute, he's heading after a guy to slide in and make it a throw-in. It was unbelievable. He is unbelievable, and I think he's the kind of guy that will miss him badly when he's gone. He's just a phenomenon. Yeah,
just enjoy him while he's here. That's the secret. It's just enjoy these guys. I mean, playing in that position, obviously, is the number 9. What he would give you would be, if you're going to start a press high up the park, it'd be a nightmare to be a centre half against that. He's just like a pest, and he's just, you know, which is great because that's what he done in his early part, and we were all kind of pleased when he done that. But he then lacked a bit of composure, and his touch wasn't whatever else. like I alluded to earlier on, I think he's got better at that, and some of those finishes, especially the one I didn't see, are the ones that I think have got those numbers kind of, or he's roaring up the charts with those numbers. So I think there's still be more improvement to come from him. I think when he plays, if he was to play consistently as the number 9, I think you'd see even more in a team that's got wingers like Jota and Kuhn at either side of him. And he done that yesterday without that level of player on either side.
Mm-hmm.
So there could be even more improvements. But I think he still offers us so much. And Maeda is starting to look very promising again as a number 9. So, but what it does give, either way, if he plays in there or on the wing, or even if he's on the bench, which I don't see happening, Celtic and the manager have lots of options. And I think for any team to do anything worthwhile, then they need to be able to change it up. And I think that's what we've got. And the arrival of Jota has been so important for that as well, because it does change the type of wingers. It allows us to move people around. It makes it a different kind of threat, especially teams at home, domestically, that's sitting deep. These guys can open defences up, and if they play a high line, you've got guys like Kuhn and Maeda who can get in behind as well. So it must be really, really pleasing for the manager to have a guy like that in his armour, if you like, and an absolute nightmare if you're playing against that level of pace and aggression and just quite frankly off the scale fitness levels.
Yeah,
alongside an attitude.
Yeah, it's incredible to see, and there's just a final point a final statement on Daizen Maeda from Quarterback Punk. He says, "How much, lads? Record transfer? Absolutely not for sale at any price. He is so valuable to Celtic." And I think importantly, he looks happy at Celtic. As I say, great moment family-wise for him to have his 2 kids on the park pre-match. But he just looks a guy that's happy with life at Celtic and the adoration that he gets from fans and everything that goes with it. I've asked at the start of the show, Brydo, what do you put that February form down to? 14 goals in February so far, and we're just 3 games in, and we can't discount the Jota effect. And as much as he didn't have a great deal of impact against Raith Rovers, he absolutely did against Motherwell. He certainly did against Dundee during the week. And just, I'm not being too dramatic here, but his presence must lift those around him as well. He's just a guy that brings a lot to the party by terms of being there and some of the ability he's got.
Just the quality level. I think we maybe said nearly, I don't know how many games we've had this year, but certainly the ones that we maybe didn't look as good. And we've used that phrase, the drop-off when Kuhn and Maeda weren't playing or had to come off. It was so stark, so obvious, and it really dented the kind of optimal position the team could be in a game. It just wasn't great. We now don't have that. Jota coming in, like I say, as much as the variety is one thing, it's the quality and the excitement, and he's a proper edge of your seat type player. He's a winger that Celtic, it's kind of synonymous with Celtic. You want a winger that can beat up a man for a standing start. We're kind of licking our lips earlier on the window because we thought we'd have him and Tierney on the same side. But I have to say fair play to Greg Taylor, because I think Greg Taylor's been absolutely fantastic in the games he's played. So there's no issue there, really, I think, for the rest of the season. It would have been great if Tierney was here, but so be it. But he can also play on both sides, Jota. So that means Kuhn can get a rest, Maeda can get a rest, Maeda can move in the middle. There's so many options that we've got with, let's say, it's a Jota, Maeda, Kuhn, and Maeda, those 4 players for those 3 positions. Alongside, like your guys like Yang and whatever else can come in and help see a game out. So, but it's an incredible position for the manager to be in, albeit I think he would still want another striker, as he said earlier. And if we get that and keep the players that are there, yeah, Maeda looks happy. But then again, so did Ange and so did other people. So I don't know. But while he's there, you need to enjoy him and take the good with the bad. Fortunately, in the minute, it is pretty much all good, with the exception of getting sent off against Young Boys and missing the big game coming up.
Yeah, and that's something we'll get into more early part of the week, Brydo, as we're looking ahead to the Bayern game. But I did see San Fran Celtic's a good pal of the show, and he's here tonight on the live, and he says, first of all, that Jota has just electrified the squad and couldn't put it better than that. I think that's absolutely spot on. I think I seen a debate that San Fran was having with somebody online who said, yeah, just a shame that he got sent off, that he now misses this game. But San Fran made the point that it's part of how he plays and his high energy performance, which kind of led to what got him sent off. He's all energy. And I say if you take that out of him, and yeah, maybe he doesn't get sent off, but maybe he doesn't bring you everything else he brings to the party. So I think Daizen Maeda does a whole mix of things, and I think we just need to enjoy what he is while he's here. And Yang, enjoy them while they're here, Brydo. There's also the added bonus. Obviously, as I mentioned, I think it was 9 changes to the starting 11, but you've got the added bonus that you've also been able to completely rest a number of guys, including Greg Taylor, Alistair Johnson, Adam Ida was a sub not used as well, Cameron Carter-Vickers and Austin Trusty. And that's a huge bonus getting into, such a big game as Wednesday against Bayern Munich. It just allows these guys to go in there at optimal levels, fully refreshed and good to go. But I just want to touch briefly on a guy who did come off the bench, and it's a guy that you've been fairly outspoken about in the shape of Johnny Kenny. I think it was me, you and James that were on a show a couple of Fridays ago. And at that point, you just weren't convinced if there was a future for Johnny Kenny at Celtic. I think the chat was that had Celtic got a striker in, he was going to go on loan to St Mirren. So that maybe tells you where he was at in terms of the manager's thoughts and the pecking order, sliding doors and all that. That doesn't happen, and all of a sudden he's making appearances off the bench. I like what he's bringing in terms of attitude, application and endeavour. Pacey, works hard, all these things. But he's just not been on the ball enough so far for me to make any sort of informed choice or informed opinion as to what he'll bring to the party. Where are you at on things? Have they changed in any way?
Well, not really, mate. But I think the fact we didn't get a striker, I would then agree with some people who say, well, he should get some minutes. I just think that, and then it might turn out and surprise me and other people that certainly that we've spoke to about Celtic and about, would Johnny Kenny be the player you'd have starting as your number 9 against Bayern Munich on Wednesday? The answer would be no, you would. And if that's not the case and there's not much chance of that happening, and I mean ever, then that's why I say, I actually use the phrase, what's the point? It's nothing against him. It's just, Ange didn't play him. Rodgers has never played him. They see these guys in training and get their loan profiles, and it just annoys me a wee bit when people use things like, oh, he's scoring for Shamrock Rovers in the Conference League. That's something I hear for the team across the road. Like that, they try to find serious positives and stuff. And I'm not trying to find negatives, but we're comparing apples and pears. Like the Conference League is not the Champions League, and the Champions League level and Champions League level players is where I think Celtic should be, and that's the kind of brackets they should be shopping in, and that's the players that should be pushing other players. All right, you can't have 18 of them, and there's nothing wrong with the boy. It's just I don't see it, and I just don't see he'll ever get it. But now we don't have the other striker. I'll have to concede that he'll probably will see more minutes, and I'd love him to prove me wrong for sure, because then he's doing well for Celtic. But all the pace and the running, and yeah, that's cool. But the quality, not sure.
Not sure myself. I hope so. As you say, we all hope that he comes good and makes an impact and shows everyone what he can do. But at the moment, it's just hard to say. He has done well on loan. I've spoken about the fact that Yang can only do what he can do against Raith Rovers. You can't pick your opposition. Same with Johnny Kenny. He's gone to Shamrock Rovers and he can't control it. They play League of Ireland and he can't control it in the Conference League. He can only do what's in front of him. But to step up, and it is a huge step up, Conference League to Champions League, streets of a difference. So that's a challenge to him, and it's one that I'm sure he's looking forward to, and he will get his chance between now and the end of the season. I think most folks, and certainly some folks around me last night, were really hoping that he would have grabbed a goal. It's 5-0 at the time. You're thinking this would just be the cherry on top if young Johnny Kenny managed to get his first Celtic goal at Celtic Park. But in the meantime, he'll be enjoying everything he's doing. But obviously, we've joked about the fact that Rangers are at Queen's Park beat them today. So Queen's Park now take a place in the quarter-final. The draw for that will be tomorrow night after, is it St Mirren v Hearts, I think? And Celtic will find out who they've got in the last 8. we've spoken about it for quite a while now in terms of the season in general, but the treble must be on. The treble was always on, but it's now, the route seems very straightforward. Whoever Celtic get, and I know the team have set themselves money targets, and the manager will share some of those with the public and some he won't, but they must be thinking of a treble at this moment in time.
Yeah, I'd imagine it'll be in the back of their mind, yeah, but they'll take that professional approach of one game at a time and all the rest of it. You know, we've got a Bayern Munich game to come up, and they'll not be thinking much of anything else, I dare say. But yeah, listen, when your rivals get put out of the competition like that, there's nothing but good on our side. Yes, it should be easier because the second best team in the country is now not in the competition. But like you said, it was always on. It was always on because I think we are streets ahead of them. But in one-off games, we've seen that, you know, the game at Ibrox, for example, you know, we could easily have drawn them there again. It takes that away from that's not going to happen. So, yeah, there's other tricky ties that we could get, especially anything away from home. You know, we'll call into question the attitude of the players, but you're absolutely right. I think as fans, maybe we can think about the treble. Players, probably not. But human nature kicks in, and I dare say when they've seen that tonight, they're thinking, oh, right, wait a minute, that just got a wee bit easier than it was potentially before.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just scribbling down. There's a bundle of teams left. Obviously, there'll be 8 in the draw. Aberdeen comprehensive winners today. Hibs beat Brunies Air United during the week. St Mirren and Hearts are still in, start to play. Queen's Park, of course. I think Livingston, and there'll be a couple of others beyond that. But there's never anybody in Scotland that Celtic should fear. And I think, yeah, all we can hope for is a home tie. We'll find out tomorrow night after that game. And we'll see where it takes us. But the feel-good factor is there. There was a good comment from Gio. I'll try and find it in a second. But any sort of, yeah, here it is here. Gio says any negativity regarding the striker sale and no replacement is now out the window. Jota's given us a positive injection we need, and Daizen's on fire, and Gio loves it. And that's it, Brydo. You know, football's funny in terms of how quickly things can turn around. Now, listen, it wasn't hugely negative after the transfer window closed, but there was certainly a lot of debate and a lot of unhappy folks to varying degrees. But football being football, there's always a game just round the corner, and nothing creates a feel-good factor than Celtic winning, scoring plenty of goals, and the various guys that are on fire. You sent me a message last night. We were bouncing a few things back and forward, and you said one of the big things about Celtic right now is the amount of guys that you could genuinely claim as your favourite player. I'm a massive Arne Engels fan. Love Arne Engels. We've not even mentioned him today. You know, he comes on and does his thing. But Arne Engels will be somebody's favourite player. Nicholas Kuhn, absolutely. Daizen Maeda. Jota. You know, loads of folks will love Jota. Callum McGregor. The list goes on, and there's a lot to be excited about in terms of what we're watching on the park right now.
Yeah, there has to be. I mean, the stuff off the park regarding the transfers and stuff, as Gio said, you've got to kind of park it, put it to bed, regardless of your opinion. You know, on Monday night, like I said, many of us would have been angry, disappointed, flabbergasted, deflated, whatever. All of those emotions and whatever.
It's been a while since I've been flabbergasted, Brydo.
Well, you know, I was sitting here on Monday night and the door slammed shut. You know, I was flabbergasted beyond belief. I think once that happens, all you do is be back to being a Celtic supporter, and the most important thing we do is support the team anytime they turn out, in which that's never in doubt. The other stuff we can't do much about now, so we can't do anything about it now. So the manager has done well with that as well. He's kind of played it down. He didn't add fuel to the fire. I think that's really important. And I think really everybody's on the same page and all pulling the same way in general. And I think we've got some big games to look forward to, no sooner obviously than Wednesday night. And we're in with the big boys, and we've got a chance. You know, there's always a chance of beating anybody on their day. And I think we should go into it with a bit of confidence. The Villa game, let's just start not like that, and then keep ourselves in the game would be a real good change. But yeah, I think feel good factors there because of what we're seeing on the pitch. And I just think even there's always this question mark over the manager. When will he leave? When will he leave? And I think that's always in the back of your mind, because you really want a manager to keep continuing to grow a team. And I just think there's always that in the back of your mind. oh, well, he'll do it again. He's going to leave. He's going to leave in the summer, or we'll be fine until the summer when Brendan leaves and stuff. And I hear that quite a lot. And I just kind of wish that wasn't the case. I just want Celtic to keep continuing to grow with the same manager. But you never know, these things in football. It happens all the time and changes all the time. But if he stays and he continues to do what he's doing, then I can't see why we don't keep progressing in the tournaments year on year.
Yeah, and the Bayern game it'll be what it'll be, but it's as tough a draw as you could get in terms of the quality of opposition. It could have been Real Madrid, but it's certainly up there with that. On another year, you make progression. Maybe Celtic can finish top 8. Who knows? And this format certainly gives us a chance of doing so. And maybe we get a kinder draw, and all of a sudden, instead of being in the last 24, you make genuine progression to the last 16 and kick on from there. As I say, we'll cover all that, Brydo. We've got a busy week coming up. We've got the weekly show tomorrow night, Monday night for subscribers, not till Tuesday for general release. And then we'll also do a pre-match for Bayern on Tuesday night. So lots going on. Last comment today. Thanks to everyone who's commented. Some brilliant comments coming in. I think the mood in the camp's been lifted by that performance by Queen's Park, but so be it. But final comment is from Shane O'Sullivan. And Shane O'Sullivan says, ability gets you in the building, ... And what Shane's referring to, I'm pretty sure, is something I've heard from Shane and a good mate of ours, Greg Robertson over in Boston, is that whether it's somebody like, and I think he was talking here about Johnny Kenny, but somebody like Johnny Kenny or Yang or whatever, ability gets you to Celtic, but it's your attitude and application that keeps you there. It's what you do beyond that. Everybody that finds himself in Celtic's squad right now, including the B team guys and all that stuff, you're there because you've got talent. But it's what you do with that talent and how you kick on. But thanks to Shane and thanks to everyone that continues to contribute. But I'll just come to you now for your final thoughts. As I say, the focus of this show is the big win over Raith Rovers, 5-0 for Celtic, 14th goal of February alone. Your final thoughts on that and what lies in store this week?
I don't think it can get a great deal better. We're using the squad. We're using all the players at the manager's disposal wherever he can. They're all producing. They're all doing something positive and contributing to the cause. And I think that the more that happens, and the more players will be in that position where they're ready, if called upon, which then creates competition. And I think they're pushing each other on as much as anything else. Competitions, they keep coming back, and we keep progressing. Will we do that in the next one regarding Wednesday and then next Tuesday? I don't know. Maybe we will, maybe we don't. But we're in there anyway, and we're there on merit. And ability gets you into that tournament. Ability gets us the games like this. So much like the players get into Celtic with their ability. So, yep, I don't think we can have much to complain about, and I don't think we should be. And it should all be positive, and more questions about the positive impacts of players as opposed to moaning about what they're not doing. It's just debating about who's doing more of the positives rather than none of it.
Yeah, I think it's set to be a really exciting week, whatever comes. The big hope, Brydo, is that we take something positive, to the away leg. But we'll see where we go. It's such a tough test, and they've got resources beyond belief in terms of the guys that they can play. But on any given day, at any given time, I think Celtic can compete. So let's hope for the very best there. Brydo, thanks for joining us here on a Sunday night, even despite your slightly snidey comments on Yang. But I'm going to let that slide. I'm in a decent mood given the day's results. But thanks for joining us. Thanks, as I say, to everyone that joins us here on the live and makes their comments. And generally, thanks to everyone who continues to support us here at the Celtic Exchange. It's all hugely appreciated. As I said, we'll be back tomorrow night on Monday with the Celtic Exchange Weekly. That is for subscribers only. So either subscribers to the Celtic Exchange Plus or members here on YouTube. For everyone else, that'll be out on Monday, as well the pre-match for the Bayern Munich game. But in the meantime, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. We'll see you all again really soon.